2 years of living through this pandemic, and the thought of coming back together should be exciting, right? Well, for many of us, there's an awkward feeling because our social skills have atrophied. We're not sure what to say, what we should ask, and end up realizing that we're all a little socially awkward now. In this video, you will learn ideas on how you can ask good questions and make your small talk bigger, whether you are one-on-one, interviewing a guest for a podcast or video interview, or maybe even presenting in front of a live audience. My name is Riaz Meghji. This is the channel that helps leaders, coaches, and experts connect with confidence every time you speak. Be sure to subscribe to this channel to get the latest videos and best ideas that will elevate your influence and impact and make you a magnetic presenter. How can we begin to use our sense of curiosity to make deeper connections? Curious teams work better together. Curious people communicate better and get involved in less conflict. They enjoy socializing more, and they're more resilient, especially when faced with rejection. Let's look at what you can do to ignite your curiosity and what you can ask to help build trust faster. Number one, you want to develop your understanding of someone before you demonstrate it. Sometimes we get so focused on saying the right thing, we forget about the most important aspect of meaningful human connection. That look at you is greater than look at me. After almost 20 years of interviewing leaders, athletes, celebrities, philanthropists, you name it, the three main questions that I observed that we all ask ourselves the first time we meet someone are, do you care about me? Are you listening to me? And can I trust you? Remember, humans, we're all social animals. And when we encounter someone new, we're instinctively trying to decide whether they are a friend or a foe. I mean, that's true when you're meeting someone socially. Whether you are realizing it or not, you're sizing them up. And you're trying to decide whether or not you want to spend more time with them. Now, these questions, do you care about me? We have so many opportunities to truly learn about somebody. Have you been following what they have been building or creating? Have you been supportive when they may have struggled? How have you provided a helping hand or maybe a confidence boost or a much needed wake-up call to someone? Are you listening to me? This is such a key point of interest right now because sometimes our intent may be pure in our desire to help someone. But if we jump in to help too quickly and interrupt what someone is sharing with what's happening with them, the challenge here is we're attempting to fix things. We're attempting to fix that problem before we're feeling it out. And if we move too quickly, we end up solving the wrong problem. We have a full video on effective listening right here on this channel that'll help you to lean in and connect with people in deeper ways. And then finally, this question, can I trust you? Trust is the compound effect of consistency. Are we consistently showing up and checking in with someone or simply reaching out when we need something for ourselves? Little things make a big difference, especially during this time we've all lived in isolation. Now, the second key point here is how can you evoke positive emotion? If you have no context of the person in front of you, and your intention is to skip the small talk and make a connection, I share with you the work of the late great psychiatrist Gordon Livingston. And his work focused on the happiness equation. After countless studies, his work found that the happiest people have three things in common. They have something to do, they have someone to love, and they have something to look forward to. Now, if you go blank in the moment, or aren't sure what to say in your initial encounter with someone, you can put the focus on the person in front of you and ask them about what they're doing, what they're creating. Ask them about who they love and the relationships that matter most to them, and ask them about what they're looking forward to. Then see how your conversations begin to deepen with the emotion that comes out. Number three, we want to get to the point. One of the common traps we fall into is starting with a long, drawn-out introduction or complicated setup that consists of multiple questions. It's a great way to overwhelm the person you're talking to or presenting for when you leave them essentially unable to answer any of your questions. Our goal is to get to the point and keep things simple. This will leave more room to take the conversation deeper. So be concise, be direct, and get to the point as quickly as possible with 1 to 2 sentence questions. And use open-ended questions that start with how or what. For example, how do you think that went? What do you feel is impossible right now? What would make it possible? How could I show up for you in bigger ways? If you had to do everything over again, think about this time during the pandemic. If you had to reset and do it over, what would you do differently? You could even call yourself out and ask, hey, what's the question I failed to ask to understand your reality? And then when they begin to answer, dig deep with the follow-up question. Because the first question is always the appetizer for the main course of conversation that follows with someone. Now, this next point is one of my favorites. Over-prepare to improvise. When I first started out in television, I would go into my interviews armed with a whole list of questions. After all, I'd done my research. And I knew what my goals were. My goals were for the interview. I knew what I wanted to talk to them about. And then it made sense, to plan ahead. But marching through a list of questions cuts off any possibility of genuine connection. If you always know what you're gonna say next, you hardly need to listen at all. If I'm doing an interview or meeting an important new contact and I wanna know as much as I can about that person, I'm gonna study, I'm gonna look at what are their interests? What are their hobbies? What are their unique experiences? What they've been tweeting about lately? But that discipline of listening, that involves putting that aside when they start to talk so I can open up a space for them to share something I don't already know. For example, making a real connection with an interviewer. Say, you want to make a good impression. Coming across as an engaged and curious person they might like to work with is ultimately a far more valuable use of those few minutes that you have than proving you've rehearsed some good answers to some common interview questions. Over-preparing before an important conversation or interview or presentation, over-preparing will give you confidence, but stepping into uncertainty by listening and improvising, that is what is going to give you connection. Final idea I'll leave you with, use silence as your secret weapon. How many times have we asked a question and then there's a pause and then you're nervous and your brain starts churning, was that a stupid question? Have I offended this person? Oh my God, this is a disaster. You start panicking, so then you jump in with a clarification or another question or a total change of subject, and then you cut off the opportunity to get a real response. That initial pause after you ask a question may feel awkward, especially virtually, but it could also be a very good sign that the person is taking time to reflect on the idea or question you just introduced. The easy thing to do is to immediately throw in some filler words or extra questions to curb all of that silence. But when you do that, you miss a potentially profound response. I invite you to throw out the question, give them your attention, and then let silence do the talking and watch what happens. What questions do you ask to deepen your conversations and connections? I'd love for you to share your favorite ones below. For more ideas on presenting and for meaningful human connection, you can download the free guide, The 5 Secrets to Making Every Conversation Count, and that link is in the description below. If you are looking to level up your presenting skills and connect with confidence every time you speak, I also invite you to apply for the Magnetic Presenter program that helps leaders, coaches, experts transform you and your ideas into powerful presentations that are going to help elevate your impact and influence. Big thanks for watching this video. If you want to conquer your speaking anxiety or captivate your audience when speaking virtually, be sure to check out these videos. If you found this content valuable, please do hit the like button, subscribe, drop a comment below, and feel free to share the content. We'll see you in the next video.